Welcome back in, everybody. We are live at Sholo High School tonight and wrapping things up on a busy broadcast day for Sports Zone Radio and another great Hatch Toyota Friday Night Football show. This is the Ace Hardware Scoreboard Show now, and we are live at Sholo High School. And we're going to wrap it up here with a look through the scores and the highlights from a lot of action around the state tonight. We'll get to as much as we can. It was an early end to our broadcast tonight because, well, this game ended early. It was a running clock, it seemed like, all night long as Sholo jumped out and scored in droves early, got a big early lead, and they go on to a 68-6 victory over the Monument Valley Mustangs in this one tonight here at Sholo. And for the Cougars now, they go to 8-1 overall on the season with this big win. And by our calculation, our tabulation, this win tonight crowns the Sholo Cougars as the 3A Northeast Region champions. We believe they're the champions now, and I'll see if their head coach, who joins us in just a moment, if he agrees with that assessment. I believe Sholo is now the region champions, regardless of the outcome next week. They'll have one more regular season game against Page. We're going to broadcast that game next Thursday. And there is also a factor of Round Valley. Round Valley plays at home against the Blue Ridge Yellow Jackets next week. Round Valley has the one single region loss, but we don't think that matters at this point anymore because of the head-to-head between the Cougars and the Elks and a win earlier this season by Sholo over Round Valley. So there is that, everybody, and we want to welcome you in. And I'll let you know that we are going to look through the scoreboard here in just a couple of moments. Normally we kick off with that, but I want to help get this guy home as early as we can. The head coach of the Sholo Cougars is joining us now. His name is Carlo Hernandez, and he leads his team to a 68-6 win in this one tonight over Monument Valley. Coach Hernandez, welcome into the show. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Always good, right? Always good to get a win like that.
You take a victory like this.
Yeah. So your team comes out. Listen, it was always possible that Sholo might, with the way that your team has played this year, you might look past a Monument Valley team. The Mustangs have some weapons out there. The quarterback is solid. They got a couple of guys out. Now, they were playing shorthanded. They had 3 receivers down and a running back down, but everybody's got their problems here at this point of the year. Football's a violent sport, don't you know? But it's easy to look past a team like that's capable of doing some things, but your team was just spot on tonight, ready to play.
Well, I think we focused all week watching them on film. You're exactly right. They do a lot of good things. I love their offense. When we saw them on film, the things they were able to do against some of the opponents they played, to the point where we really took notice, and it was not a give me game at all. So our guys on both sides of the ball knew we had to focus, and they prepared all week for this game like they were going to give us the game that we thought that they were going to give us. And don't let that score fool you. That team can play. They can play some football.
Well, yeah, they're good, and they proved some things last week, scoring 54 in their first ever win over the Blue Ridge Yellow Jackets, and they're also securely now inside that playoff bubble. I see no reason why they're not going to make the playoffs, and they're set up to travel for a first-round game, probably to Tucson, probably to play Push Ridge when the playoff bracket is finally set.
Right.
But one way or the other, that's a playoff team over there on that other side, Monument Valley, and they've got a lot to be proud of, but I would say you have a little bit more to be proud of. Your defense tonight, Coach, as I begin right there. Your defense. Here's all you did according to our numbers. You held Monument Valley to exactly 0 yards of offense in the first half. They had the ball 8 times overall, including that final possession where they ran the clock out to go into halftime. So really, for all intents and purposes, they had 7 possessions. They punted every single time. You held them to a 3-and-out most of the time. They had a couple of plays. They only 1 first down in that entire first half. Again, 0 yards of offense and no points on the board. How proud of this defense must you be?
We're so proud of these guys. The way we challenged them this week. Going up against a team that throws the ball, we have a tendency to, at times, become undisciplined in the secondary, and we challenged our guys, and they stepped up. Coach Hawk and that defensive group, they had these guys ready, and it showed tonight on the field.
We had a first chance this year to talk to a young man that plays on your defensive line, and And it's just amazing because at 5'5" in height, Gabe Benali is the smallest guy on the field most of the time. And a guy at 5'5" that plays in the trenches and plays on the defensive line is pretty rare. Doesn't happen very often at all. But when you watch him play, and he's got this motor, and he's an energy guy, and he's constantly one of those dudes on the field that is uplifting the rest of your team. It's a guy who you wouldn't expect to fill a needed role, but he plays for you and fills such a needed role, I think, and helps to really kind of set a tone for your defense.
That's who Gabe is. Gabe is a leader. The kids look up to him. They look to see what he's doing, and Gabe will lead by example. He's a vocal leader. He's the guy that coaches count on to lead us, and the guy, he does have a motor that just doesn't stop. He's one of those kids that you have to pull him off the field, because if not, he'll stay on the field for 4 quarters.
He just wants to play, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
He's pretty proud of the rest of his guys in that group as well. And here's a name that we've been mentioning a lot recently here with your team, Stetson Walter on that defense. Another name, another guy who's I would look at him as a role player, and he plays the role so well. He's just kind of a steady, stalwart anchor on your defense.
That's another guy. The kid just wants to win. He wants to win. He wants to compete. He's one of those guys that he hates to lose individual battles. He hates to lose at drills. Down the line, we're just a bunch of competitors who hate losing, and he's one of the top ones that hates.
Undoubtedly. Let me mention another defender that gets a little bit overshadowed at times, because there's somebody else that shares his name that always just seems to show up in the headlines and showing up in our stat columns, and gets a lot of pub and a lot of discussion in our broadcast. The second guy I'm talking about is Ryan Kishbaugh. The initial guy I'm talking about is his twin brother and that safety back there, Jeremy Kishbaugh. Look, as talented as Ryan is, as much of an athlete as he is, my recollection of all the times that I've seen Jeremy working out there on the field is that he is really equally talented. He is so fast. He is so rangy and athletic. And though we're not calling his name out all the time, without him on the field, your defense, I think, is a completely different defense. I think it's a much more porous defense, and I think that teams could exploit you a whole lot more downfield without Jeremy Kishbaugh. I just think that he is one of those guys whose name doesn't get mentioned a lot, but without him, your team would not be the same.
Well, Jeremy's one of those guys that you can tell has played football for a while. He's got football intelligence, and he knows the game defensively. He's a ball hawk. He's around the ball, and at times I think it hurts him because he wants to make the big play. So sometimes it hurts him. More times than not, it puts us in a great position. So I don't know if Danny will agree with this, but I'll take it. I'll take his aggressive play, and every now and then he'll give up something, but he'll make up for it also.
Danny Hawkins, your defensive coordinator.
Yes.
Hey, your defense as a whole, to me, I described it this way. Maybe you disagree, but this is my observation. It's a risk-reward defense. You take a lot of chances. You're bringing the house a lot. There's a lot of blitzing going on. There's a lot of looks. Listen, tonight we saw a number of times when you kind of vacate that defensive backfield. I'm looking around out there. I'm looking for a safety over the top. There's nobody back there, and you're coming and you're bringing the pressure. And you tonight, of course, it worked out beautifully. You got to the quarterback all night long, but there's a lot of you guys are going to take a lot of chances with that defense out there.
That's when I took the job 2 years ago, Danny was the first guy that I met, and we started talking about philosophies, and I told him offensively we wanted to be fast, and he said defensively he wanted to be fast. So it kind of was a mesh of the two sides of getting together and saying, let's just be fast. We're not going to be the biggest group in the world.
No real argument there between you guys, right?
No, I mean, we're not going to be the biggest group, so we better be fast and athletic. And we have to utilize that to our advantage. And, it is a high-risk reward defense, just like the offense is also. We like to push the envelope.
Well, you play some fast football. There's no question, Coach. Let's flip to the offensive side of the ball today. Our Sports on Radio Player of the Game. That's presented by White Mountain Regional Medical Center. And tonight that was earned by your quarterback, by the junior, Nash Brewer. So Nash ran the ball 4 times. I believe it was 84 yards rushing for Nash, 21 yards per rush. Of 4 carries, he scored 3 touchdowns. Okay, so pretty impressive there. He threw the ball 11 times, completed 7 passes, and of the 7 completions, 3 touchdowns. He figured in on 6 of your touchdowns overall. Nash put it together tonight, had a great game, and he was our player of the game.
Nash, Nash has come a long way from when we started. Not only Nash, but the whole offense as a unit has evolved to where I feel we're one of the most balanced teams in 3A. We can throw the ball, we can run the ball, and we like what Nash brings to the table because he's the unaccountable player on defense. You don't account for your quarterback to run the ball. We had designed run plays for a quarterback, so. It's our offense is, who are you going to stop? Are you going to stop Jet? Are you going to stop Brian? Are you going to stop Nash? Yeah,
you have so many alternatives when somebody does come out and commit resources to stopping one guy. You've got other guys to fall back on. Pretty good luxury for you, Coach.
Yeah, I'll take it.
No doubt. Up front on that offensive line, it's a unit. And a great team, the line is always functional as a unit, and it's hard to pick one person out most of the time and really single somebody out. But I am going to single somebody out because I was mentioning to Nash when we talked to him earlier in our post-game conversation with him. I talked about Armani Flores. Listen, Armani is really standing out. He jumps off the page as an offensive lineman for you, and really his defensive play too.
Right.
But the way he is playing and the way he gets out there leading that convoy and road grading a pathway for your runners is something to behold out there. And it seems to me, as hard as it can be for a high school athlete to even keep weight on during football season, he seems like he's getting bigger, like he's putting weight on and getting stronger as this season goes on, not just trying to maintain. Right. Boy, Armani really seems to be having a great year for you.
But I think that's a sign of not just Armani, but our whole line as a whole has matured this year. The offensive line coaches have done a great job with helping our kids understand the importance of staying on blocks, recognizing defenses. And, I think we pass block a whole lot better than we did last year so that we don't have to be one-dimensional. We can run, we can throw, we can roll out, we can bootleg, we can zone block, we can, we can do a lot of different things. And with our weight program with Coach Reed, he's done a great job of keeping our kids strong and keeping them healthy and keeping the weight on these guys. I mean, we work out even on game days. So, I mean, we got a lot of things going in the right direction right now. We just got to keep the momentum going.
Well, there's 3 facets to the game. We talked about defense, talked about offense, special teams. Spend a moment on that. First of all, there's got to be some concern about the place-kicking team. Getting a much-needed 3 points in a tough playoff game is always something that you hope to be able to do as a high school team. Not all high school teams can do it very effectively, that's for sure. And there was some struggle there with your place-kicking unit tonight. And yet at the same time, in limited opportunities to return the football, you weren't sending guys back to return punts. I thought that was a gracious move by the Show Low Cougars tonight. But Carson Cooper, he got a ball flipped back to him on a kick return from near midfield, and he took it to the house. Penalties called, personal fouls called, offset each other, so they kicked off again. And all he did on the second chance to return the kick was he fielded it at about the 12-yard line and then found a little seam to run through and went down the right sideline for a kick return touchdown. So, great return by Carson, and your special teams in really limited opportunities today, still played pretty well for you as well.
Yeah, Carson, he's like got shot out of a cannon for 2 plays in a row. They weren't like he just ran 10 yards. I mean, he was running.
Yeah, he ran like a 60-yard sprint, and then he got his breath back, and he ran an 88-yard sprint for you.
So, I mean, our kickoff return team did a good job. I think Calvin did a great job of finally getting the ball in the end zone for our kickoff team, so that helps us out. We got to shore up. We got to look at film, see what was going on with the extra points, and see where we need to fix those adjustments. But more times than not, that kid has been money for us. So we gotta look at see what we need to fix.
Coach, I can't imagine a loss next week for Sholo. Anything that's going to disrupt at least your current position, ranked number 4. It seems to me as I look at the schedules, it's probably going to stay 1, 2, 3, 4 after next week. I think Push Ridge is going to win their game. I think Eastmark's going to win to finish out the season, and Thatcher should win their final regular season game.
Right.
That would shuffle between Eastmark and Push Ridge from last week to this week. I don't think you're going to see a change. It looks like Sholo is going to probably finish 4th. The main thing that does is that gives you the potential of 2 home playoff games. How exciting is that for you, for the program, for these kids?
I think it's huge for everybody involved, the school, the kids, and more importantly, the thing that a lot of people miss out on is the community. I think the community hasn't had that for a while. That opportunity to see hopefully 2 more playoff meaningful games here at home. So hopefully we can just, like I said, keep the momentum going, and hopefully we can get the community what they want.
Are you on track with the things that you want to be doing in terms of rebuilding a Sholo program and doing it the way you want it to, making it look like how you want it to look?
It helps when you have these kids. They made the transition for me, and I addressed this to them after the game. They made it easy for me. They made it easy to come in, and they embraced me as I've embraced them. And I think we've learned to work together, and we both all have the common goal. And I love these kids as much as I could love these kids, and I think the feeling is mutual. So
I'll tell you, Coach, there is a lot of excitement in Sholo. There's a buzz around this program and what lies in store for the upcoming playoffs. And for the rest of us, it's just football fans of White Mountains football. Those of us who love all of these teams equally. I love them all equally. My son plays at Blue Ridge. I'm as big a fan of Sholo or Snowflake and Round Valley as I am Blue Ridge. I just love to see the teams up here succeed, and we are all we're all on the Sholo bandwagon here. We're all on the Sholo train here, and we're looking and hoping and expecting something big from you and the boys here in the playoffs. Okay?
Yeah, you and I both.
All right. Well, let's have a good run of it. Okay?
All right. Thank you,
Coach. Congratulations. What a win for you tonight. Way to go, man.